are waiting to go live into the UK, so bear with us here. We are going to get into it about R. Kelly. We are here. And so, yes, as you can see from the title on the podcast, we are going to talk about R. Kelly. And the title is R. Kelly to blame? Just should he be the only one blamed or something like that? But we'll get into it. Facebook, how are you? YouTube, how are you? We are on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. So we are all over the place. I'm trying to spread the message of Black love, knowledge, and unity. And just anything that goes on to the Black community to help make us an even better people. And so what I'm going to do is give everybody a chance to get on before I get into this topic, because what I want to say, especially at the beginning of this show, hey, Tay, I want to make sure everybody hears it, because I know that if I don't make sure, at least I can't ensure that everybody hears it, but I can ensure that most will hear it. And Tay says hello to you as well.
I love you, Tay.
Hey, Capri. So I want to make sure everybody hears what I have to say in the beginning of the show, because I have sort of a disclaimer that I want to go forth, because I know that there'll be some people who will come on here, accusing me of saying things that I did not say. And hey, William. So I want to be very clear about that up front before I get started with my monologue, if you will. And so I'll give everybody a couple more minutes to come on. But before they do, I want to talk about something that I did on Friday night. I went to the BBD concert, compliments of my dear friend Donovan. He sent my daughter and I to the concert, and let's just say we had a ball.
Okay.
Well, my daughter had a ball, but I had like a ball.
But did you secure any sponsorships? I mean, you went with the biker shorts and the House of Top.
Unfortunately, I went and I was a fangirl. That's what my daughter called. She goes, "Oh my God, you're a fangirl," because I'm screaming and hollering and stuff. I was like, "Girl, you don't understand. I was 19 when a lot of these songs came out. So it took me back to, my clubbing days and, when I was out there, so that was fun for a moment, but I had to come back to reality. So thank you once again to Donovan. Also, I'd like to give a big thank you to Donovan for making all of this happen. You guys see the green screen behind me. That will eventually be a YouTube video. And so, as I said, a big thank you. He makes a lot of this possible. The message go further. Also, I could not do this without Marcus Guyton. He also helps to spread the message of the show. And so a big, huge thank you to him. Also, we're going to have a link that's going to be provided throughout the show. So for whatever reason, if you're not friends with me and you want to comment on the content of the show, please do, so that you can join in on the conversation. And so for those of you guys who are on the podcast and on Facebook, I will not belabor the point. I will go ahead and get started. And do me a favor, you guys. After I read my disclaimer, if you guys see other people come on here and, say outlandish things, especially after I've given my disclaimer, please just say, hey, she's already said that. This is not what this is about, because I will address it if I see it. And so anyway, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Now, the topic is it fair to just blame R. Kelly? And I want to repeat that again. Is it fair to just blame R. Kelly? Now, before we get started, I want to clear the air. Here's my disclaimer, you guys. This is not a debate or a discussion about whether R. Kelly is a predator or whether he likes young girls, okay? Although Kelly was found not guilty of any sex crimes with women or children, I am personally going on the record to say that with all the research I've done, and I've read and researched about R. Kelly and his situation many years ago, so none of this stuff is new to me. But even with all that research I have personally done, I most definitely believe that R. Kelly is a predator. I'm going on record to say that. But again, this is not what today is about to discuss. Did he do it or did he not do it? I'm telling you, I believe that R. Kelly is a predator. Okay, so if you see people coming on there accusing me of defending R. Kelly, please remind them that I said that I believe R. Kelly is a predator. All right, I think I beat that up enough. Now, as my friend Richard, who recently educated me, said, R. Kelly really suffers from ephebophilia. Okay, ephebophilia spelled EPHEBOPHILIA, which is when a man, or I guess a woman, prefers young girls or boys between the ages of 15 and 19, post-pubescent what do you call it? Pubescent.
Pubescent. Mm-hmm.
So after puberty has hit, they like the girls from 15 to 19. Okay. And so, so to reiterate my point, it is not my objective to argue whether he's a predator of young girls. I really hope we're clear about that because I don't want to get into pointless conversations about what and who R. Kelly is. All right. Now, but if you ask me why I think he's a predator, throughout the show, I'll be more than happy to give you my answer. Also, the onus to not touch, or the responsibility, just to make it plain, the responsibility to not touch young children has always and will always be on the adult who should know better. So no way, shape, or form am I blaming any of these young girls for what happened to them. So I just want to be clear. And I'm really stressing this because I just know somebody going to get on here and act a goddamn fool. And I just want to be clear to you guys who are on here first. Okay. With all that being said, over the last couple of days, the internet has exploded with opinions about the docudrama created by Lifetime Network called Surviving R. Kelly. It was a 6-part series that featured testimony of R. Kelly's alleged victims. Now, I say alleged because nothing has really been proven as fact, and Kelly has not been found guilty of anything yet. Okay, and if I'm wrong, you guys, please correct me. But to my knowledge, he hasn't been convicted of anything. Okay, in fact, during the trial, the infamous trial with the 14-year-old, he was found not guilty. All right, not saying he wasn't. He just was found not guilty. Okay. Admittedly, I did not watch the docudrama, or nor will I. The docudrama was so successful that the network managed to break its record ratings. It saw about 2 million viewers per night and had almost 1 million interactions on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But I think it was way more than 1 million because, gosh, I could swear I saw it at least 1 million times on my timeline. So to date, the docudrama about R. Kelly's victims is Lifetime's biggest debut from its movie catalog. Okay, now Lifetime is a marketing genius because they know what sells, especially in the Black community. Lifetime is responsible for the Aaliyah, Whitney, Toni Braxton, Michael Jackson, and Michel'le docudrama, to name a few. Now, there are levels, and it should also be said too that Univision owns Lifetime, which Univision is not ran by us. It's a Hispanic, television network. So we don't own anything to do with Lifetime or Univision. Okay. So now, because there are levels to the R. Kelly situation that has unfolded over the past 20 years plus, I have jotted down some things that I just kind of had going in my mind in regards to it. Now, number one, accountability. Now, this is where we're going to get into some gray areas, you guys, okay? Now, accountability should not be confused with victim blaming or victim shaming. Many people who have been asking some pretty thought-provoking questions have been met with being labeled as victim blamers or victim shamers. Oh, you're agreeing that, R. Kelly or these women are at fault. These girls are at fault. And I haven't gotten that from a lot of people, although I have seen some people kind of tiptoe toward the point, well, these little girls are fast and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be lying if I said I didn't see that. Now, so I'm going to ask questions that I think deserve answers, okay, to begin with, okay? And Donovan, please feel free to chime in. How many times have you left your young daughters with strange men or men you knew had issues with abusing young girls? How many did so? How did so many girls end up in R. Kelly's presence even after it was public that he was a predator? How did these girls get in his presence? You know what I mean? I'm not that much older than Aaliyah, but I remember when that happened. And so that was years ago. Aaliyah's been dead, 20 years now?
No, she died in 2000. So
was it 2000?
Yeah, so about
so she's been dead almost 20 years. And so most people by then have heard about R. Kelly and Aaliyah's, marriage and all of that. So how do so many young girls keep getting in R. Kelly's presence? Okay, so hold that. Now, is it safe to assume that some of the girls' parents and even Sparkle, because Sparkle is the one that, for lack of better words, handed her 14-year-old niece to R. Kelly. And there's no way, I don't care what nobody says. Again, I didn't see the documentary, but there's no way anybody's going to convince me that Sparkle didn't know who and what R. Kelly was. Okay? So could they be guilty of selling their daughters/niece for fame and fortune? Okay? Number two, the concept of an R. Kelly is not new. All right? Now, what do I mean by that? There are many men like Kelly who are well known in our community. Just about every black woman or girl can testify about being touched, verbally propositioned, and sexually assaulted by men in their families or men who were or are closely associated with people they know in their family. Okay? Now, typically, the behavior of those men are swept under the rug. So, do we really need Lifetime to remind us of that? Or is Lifetime just making money off of our desire for drama? Okay, and I promise you guys, I'm going to get to every last one of you guys' comments. I'm almost done. Now, ladies, are you, and I'm not speaking to y'all, I'm just saying out there in general. Ladies, are you just as interested in turning in your boyfriends when your daughters tell you he stepped to them inappropriately? Men, are you willing to admit that it's not just R. Kelly who has a problem with being inappropriate with young girls and that maybe you do it too? Again, I'm not speaking to anybody specifically. I'm just putting it out there. Now, or is your online outrage just reserved for celebrities you don't know? Because first, it's easy for us to be keyboard gangsters when it comes about everybody else. Oh, well, you know, he needs to do this and we need to do that. Okay, well, Uncle JoJo, you know, whoever, he's been notorious for touching the girls or girl, the child, if you wasn't my cousin or you wasn't my niece, girl, shoot, if you was just a little bit older. You know, I mean, come on.
What was that famous scene in the Tyler Perry movie where the old man asked the girl? Somebody
else was telling me about that
asked the girl to go look for the soda in the cooler.
And the men are gathered around making jokes about this young girl.
Right.
So, I mean,
that's in the culture.
R. Kelly is not a new concept, you guys. Just so we don't need Lifetime to remind us of that. And that's the point that I'm making about that. Okay, number 3, and this is my final point. Some black feminists, and I'm going to just go and put out there, y'all get on my last nerve, I swear for God and 12 disciples, y'all black feminists, y'all make me itch. Okay, I just want to put that in there. Some black feminists get saving women and girls confused with having to destroy the black man too. So it's like, in order to save these women, I need to destroy the black man. I need to take him down. It's like, well, why can't you just save the women and the girls and whatever your mission is and not do that to black men, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, point and case. The Root, which is that big time famous online black, actually, it's not, my bad, it's not Lifetime that's owned by Univision. It's The Root. That's what I meant to say. I got ahead of myself. So The Root is this big time black publication, so it says, that's online. They have a whole host of opinions and just all kind of stuff. But anyway, so The Root has just released an article that reads more like a hit piece. It lists a whole host of other black male artists who have been accused of being with or desiring young girls. They threw Drake in there. You guys have seen the infamous video that's going around where he allegedly, or I guess, fondled a 17-year-old girl, but that was before he knew she was 17. So and that was like 10 years ago or so this happened. So they brought that back up. In this article, they accused Nas, Jay-Z, Timberland, I guess, admitted to wanting to be with Aaliyah, Puff Daddy, just a bunch of people, like black dudes that they've just put it. To me, it's a hit piece, okay? Now, The Root is known for enforcing its feminist views when it comes to the black community, and it is not owned by us. As I was saying, it's owned by Univision. I have also seen many other women who claim to be feminists demonize all black men for their actions of some, while completely turning a blind eye toward the sick actions of white men. All right. Now, my other friend Marcus, who has so eloquently said, and some people are going to get mad with this, but I have to agree with this, you guys. He says, black women, the only thing I agree with is, I will put some in there, but he says black women only get outraged when the black man is a suspect. White daddy gets a pass. Now, that's a quote. Now, do y'all remember when it was reported that Russell Crowe spat on Azalea Banks, the rapper who's notorious for starting mess with everybody, spat on her and called her a nigger at a party? Y'all remember that?
I remember.
Well, Why hasn't he been targeted by white or black women for doing another woman that way? And how about when black women called for the head of President Ronald Reagan when he led the nation to believe that welfare queens were black? Do you guys remember when black women asked for his head? I don't. I don't remember black feminists getting mad about that. And he has labeled black women as the welfare queen.
Right.
Nobody got mad about that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, I mean, I could go on and on with the times that black feminists gave white men a pass, but were very instrumental in holding Bill Cosby, other black men accountable. Before the information about the murders of little Jasmine Barnes, and we're going to talk about her later, came out, I asked, where is the outrage for her little life with all these big time black feminists? You know, we got to protect the black woman. And all, where was all? I did not see one person, especially on my timeline, who claims to be a black feminist, speak about the murder of Jasmine Barnes. Not once, okay? Not saying they didn't now, but just wait for it. Because now we know that the killers are black. I'm sure that the black feminist talking points, or allegedly, I'm going to say that allegedly. I'm sure the black feminist talking points are getting ready. They're ginning up the mob to
Me Too.
And all of that to hold black men accountable. And so I will end with those things because I know that many other people will have stuff to add about the R. Kelly thing. But what I really want to know is how can we avoid our young children? I say children because it's not just girls who are abused, it's little boys too. How can we help stop that from happening with all the stuff that I just listed, in addition to what you may have? And so I am going to address you guys' comments. All right, and so let's get it on, y'all. Let's see. Eric, hey, how are you? Says, if he did not have money or could not sing, no one would care who he PP'd on. Do not watch the show. Did not watch the show. Well, you know, I've seen that argument. A lot of people says it's just, and as I said too, what about the people we know who do that, you know, to young girls, and we just like, well, you know, he do got a problem. He was drinking. He would have never done that. You know, we just got to pray for him. What about those people?
Well, where's the outrage of the dual justice system we have in this country? It took 6 years for that case to even come.
Which case?
R. Kelly's case.
Well, you know,
he had the resources, he had the money, and when you have that, you have a different outcome.
Right, and there's a whole host of things that went on with that case. And then Tammy, how you doing, Tammy? You tagged somebody, and George says, but he made the Chocolate Factory album. And he says, but Stepping in the Name of Love was a jam, though. And a lot of people are conflicted. They're like, we like R. Kelly's music, but can you separate R. Kelly from his music? Well,
remember that song, God, Can You Save Me? Heaven Help Me, and Happy People?
Well, somebody was trying to make saying, do you think he's changed? I mean, I don't know R. Kelly. Maybe he was trying to redeem himself or get to cleanse himself of whatever ails him to do those things.
Right. Now, the court case was a while back, and now they're saying that he has a sex cult. So do I think he's changed? Absolutely not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know the man, but just from what I've read, I think the man has an issue, to say the least. And then Dean says, from Negroes, and Georgia says, but bump and grind, though. Right. I mean, you know, you think about it and you think back of all his songs, which to remind you or to let you guys know that R. Kelly's music has streamed to an uptick of 16%. Which means that more people, for whatever reason, found it a need to go listen to his music. So I don't know what that's about. And then Georgia say never. And Shantae says, look at how people excuse sexual predators for a come up or a check. Yeah. You know, case in point, the parents, like, most of their parents are about our age. I mean, I'm 47. And
what? You said you're 27. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, my daughter is even older than them. So the point that I'm making is, well, damn. You unless you lived under a rock, I'm pretty sure you knew R. Kelly was a predator. So why are you handing your babies off to fortune and fame? I mean, what is it worth? You know, well, we just let him do it and, you know, we'll be famous. I mean, I don't get it.
Does anybody remember during the Michael Jackson trial where the judge ordered that because that's the time Michael Jackson and R. Kelly were working together, that they stayed away from each other? Yeah, well, you know, Michael Jackson was going through his own things, you know, which found out to be not true. And then Misty Hay was having, he says, those parents were selling their kids. That I think that's a fair statement. I tend to agree with you. You have to be selling, because, you know, and this is my thing too. Like, I see a lot of stuff online of some things I think are questionable when it comes to people and their kids. And I'm like, how many of those parents would have done the same thing?
Would you have pushed your kids off on, or your daughters off on R. Kelly for some money? I don't know, And so Tay says, look at how many women date sexual predators who molest their children and take the predator's side. Yes, that's what I was saying earlier. What about the people, and I'm not saying none of y'all, but just in general, people, if your daughters have come to you and say, Mama, Bob touched me. Bob keeps busting in on the bathroom on me. Or your girl wants you lock the door. I think he was probably just being friendly. I don't think he did all of that. All like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, case in point, Nicki Minaj. She's dating a...
Yeah, Nicki. But his case was kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of up brother, there, but... Right.
Nicki Minaj's brother was found guilty for raping his 11-year-old stepdaughter repeatedly. So...
But what I'm saying is, in our community, the propensity to date a thug or somebody coming out of jail. If somebody came out of jail, I'd be like, no, I'm sorry, Well,
I don't know if it's a propensity in our community. I think it's probably just, because...
Well, I'm talking our community because that's all I really am concerned about.
But I think that's prevalent in a lot of people's community. And Al says somebody needs to piss on the R. You know what? And Charles, hey, what's happening? He says, not according to many Black Americans. They are getting high on hating R. Kelly exclusively, but not one peep out of the parents who whores their daughters out over an alleged settlement over 29 years ago, and Lifetime, out of having love, always shows movies about Black entertainers who wrestles with their demons of drugs, sex addiction, or low self-esteem. I know if I had a child that had accused any man of sexual molestation / assault, famous or not, he would have never gotten a chance to commit it again. Right. And so, and some of the stuff that I read, it sounds like even some of the fathers were present when the one situation, the mom and the dad was at his concert with their daughter, and somehow they ended up giving R. Kelly the demo tape, and the rest was history.
Yeah, and she's still in the cult right now.
Yeah, and that's the one. That's the one of them that's still in the cult. But it's like, you know what? We know who R. Kelly is, so I blame you.
Yeah,
you now. I can't get my daughter back.
Yeah, they're on the news and.
Gosh. And then, so Dean, you say, at what point do the parents take some blame for this? I wouldn't let my child hang out with a grown ass man. That's the question I have. Like, when is that documentary coming out about, surviving the parents who were fortune and fame hungry?
Right.
And then Charles says, notice Lifetime didn't make no movies about Harvey Weinstein, Charlie Sheen, the Catholic priest, or Charlie Rose. And you know what? They're not going to.
Right.
It's... You know what? Part of it is our fault. And the reason why I say it's our fault, because as I said earlier, entities like Lifetime and just a whole bunch of movie studios, they know what we like.
Entertainment.
We like to be entertained. They knew we were going to tune in for that. And listen, I didn't watch it, so I can't fairly comment on the content of the show. But I can ascertain that it was probably a lot of he said, she said, and, it sounds like John Legend got in on it and just a bunch of other people. And again, I'm not here to dispute the validity of what they were saying, but we don't need Lifetime to tell us that, But to your other point, they are notorious for, like the Michelle A documentary. Was that about Michelle A or was it about Dr. Dre allegedly beating her up?
Beating her up.
You know what I mean?
The best part of that biopic was when she was in the they were putting her in the ambulance, and he said,
like, come on.
You got hit by a football, you understand?
Yeah, but was that a hit piece on Dr. Dre, or was that about Michelle A? And so Al says, don't forget about the Good Times episode when Thelma told her mama when Valona's ex-Ray made a pass at her. Flo believed her, Florida, I think he meant, believed her and told him to get his nickel slick bones out because she was going to call the cops. Yeah, I know of people who have said that their mama or grandmama's dude or whatever touched them and they just brush it under the rug just to be up under a man.
But let me ask you this, though, and I see it a lot. I have a lot of girl cousins in my family. I'm not saying that my family's oblivious to it. If I have my daughter, I had a stepdaughter. I put the rules down. I am not to be in the room. Not that I had a problem, but you just didn't want
no trouble.
I didn't want no trouble.
And that's smart. Yeah. You didn't want no trouble.
But what I'm just saying, why would you leave your daughter? I'm just going to the store real quick. I wouldn't leave my daughter with my man or boyfriend for 15 seconds. Unsupervised. You know what I mean? Unsupervised.
It's scary. I would just say it that way. And hey, Tyrone says, R. Kelly can't read. That was the only surprise to me. Laugh out loud. Illiteracy and ignorance are one and the same. I hate R. Kelly. The damaged Black man who pisses on children is suffering. Oops. let's see, is suffering from a double standard when between whites and blacks. I don't think so. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And Kells, I've been puffing. He says, Kells, I've been puffing like a chimney for 20 years now. Let's talk about holding the music industry. I'm glad somebody brought that up. Executive who helped protect and responsible for this behavior too. And you know what? To bring that point up, and I'm glad you did, because was it RCA and Jive? They knew who this man was. Perhaps
it's about record sales.
It's about record sales first and foremost, but because it was a bunch of black girls, they see these people are smart. They got their pulse on the black community. They ain't gonna do nothing. But now, had that been some white girls or some Jewish girls, you know, maybe one and the same, but Jewish girls, because a lot of these record executives are Jewish, that man, we'd be looking for R. Kelly.
Well, a good point. That gymnast, those gymnasts that accused that one doctor, if that was a black girl that had made that accusation, they'd probably been like, oh, whatever. Yeah. But when all those white girls came out, it was atrocious.
But he's right. The record company, hell, they protect their money. So it's their job to know all the ins and outs about their artists. And they knew. They was like, you know what, this too shall pass. Make another record.
But here's another thing you got to think about. Now, R. Kelly's from Chicago. He is a known hero in Chicago because of his music and where he came from, out of the South Side, legend or whatever. So I'm not saying that goes on in Chicago because I don't know, but that R&B gangster feel, whatever it's going on. I
just think they like him because he's a hometown legend, you know, hometown. Because I know people who personally know him, so I think it's like, you know, one of us made it, if you will.
Right.
But and the
hero
white,
worship.
How you doing? He says, hello there. He will not get in trouble. Yeah, I think him getting in trouble is far gone. I mean, especially if you got a lot of the people who aren't willing to testify.
Well, at this point, since he was acquitted, you can't be tried for the same.
But the stuff that's going on now.
Yeah.
And Al says, an episode of Different Strokes, an old man pedophile made serious advances at Dudley and Arnold.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
I remember that episode. And then Dean says, after that, Dr. Dre lost his contract with his Beats. Did he really?
I thought he sold or maybe he was forced to sell the contract.
I know he sold the Beats to Apple for like $3 billion.
$4 billion.
A lot of money, but I'm sure it damaged him a lot. And my thing is, okay, Miss Chalet and Dr. Dre ain't been together before that documentary came out, probably 25 years. She had been with Suge Knight. And
had a baby for Suge Knight.
So it's like, because that's the only one I watched. Because I think we did a show or something about it. So I watched it and I'm like, is this about Miss Chalet or is this about Dr. Dre?
Bringing the black man down.
To me, it was a hit piece. And I'm not saying Dr. Dre didn't do those things to her, but why now? Why can't we just learn about Miss Chalet?
Right.
And no shade to Miss Chalet. I love Miss Chalet, but why was she relevant enough at this time to get a movie? Or was it a hit piece on Dr. Dre? Gotcha. I mean, those are the things that I think about, you know? And then Dwight says this is complicit with parents and just been going on so long. Double jeopardy. Absolutely. This is, like I said, and R. Kelly is not new, especially in our community. He's not a new entity. He's just somebody who's just been swept under the rug a lot, you know. And he also says Chicago enabled him, so he agrees with you. All right, and then Al says, the movie Woman Thou Art Loose had a scene where Richard Lawson tried to molest Loretta Devine's daughter, and she didn't believe her child. So, as again, you're seeing all these examples that Al is bringing up throughout various movies of...
For Color Girls.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
Examples of this going on, especially in our community, and so a lot of light has already been shed, but yet we put a lot of money into Lifetime's pocket by watching something we already
the advertisers, they knew that's a big advertising event.
And Claudette says, R. Kelly. Well, you know, you're not alone in your sentiments about R. Kelly. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not defending R. Kelly. I totally believe, even though I wasn't there, I believe the dude is a predator. I think anybody at this point is either just blind to the fact, or they really, 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 really like R. Kelly, that they don't want to admit that he is a predator. I mean, he just is. I mean, you marry a 15-year-old, which is on record. I mean, you a grown-ass man. I think you probably got some predator tendencies.
Well, here's the funny thing that you say that about it's on record. The mother denies that there even was a marriage between Kelly.
No, she doesn't deny the marriage because it was the parents that annulled the marriage. She denies that because I guess one of the girls on the movie or the documentary is saying that they walked in and caught her and R. Kelly having sex, and the mom said that we never left Aaliyah, which is kind of contradictory, but we never left Aaliyah alone with R. Kelly, which obviously at one point in time he did if they went and got married, But that's a good point. And then so. Dwight says Tyler has a lot of those themes in his movies. Yes, he does.
Oh yeah, that's why I stopped watching his movies. He just bashes men.
He does bash men, but that particular scenario is not foreign to our community. And Tate says the only reason when Michelle Lake came back up was because she was on R&B Divas, and that was her storyline. Got it. See, I don't watch R&B Divas, but that makes sense now. So maybe she was more vocal about it then. Okay, and so Charles says, didn't Elvis marry Priscilla at the age of 13, and he is still the king of a lot of white American eyes, died trying to strain out a power movement due to methamphetamine addiction, and still is a king. Well, come on, Charles.
Well, he didn't marry her at 13. He dated her, started dating her. He was in the army at the time in Germany.
He waited until she was legal.
But, they were sleeping in the bed and stuff, and he said he didn't touch her until they got married.
Well, why would you be in the bed with a 13-year-old? Right, you know what I mean? But, come on, Charles, we can't do the same things they do and be considered normal, And the cold part about it is, I'm not saying that it's cool, but, back then the age of consent was a lot different. Even in a lot of states now, I think some age of consent is 16, 17. And so it just varies. But it just seems like, it's not it seems like. Black men, they get demonized for stuff that everybody does. Not saying that they should do it.
Right.
And so Jackie, what's happening says, I feel like if more people will understand the classification of childhood sexual abuse in the Black community, maybe we could do more about it. Yeah, I just think we are just programmed to explaining it away. Well, did he touch you?
Or how far did he go?
Yeah,
deep penetration.
Where did he touch you? Mm-hmm. Okay, then, but are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff.
How are you dressed?
How was you dressed? What did you have on? Because you a fast ass little girl. What did you say to him? Because you always be up and around grown ass men. And y'all might think I'm joking, and I know you guys know I ain't lying though. And so Claudette says, I don't think it's fair to blame parents. Many teenagers don't listen to their parents. Well, I'm gonna say this, and this is where I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. Because I'm gonna disagree and agree. Because I agree. You don't know what your kids are doing all the time. But a lot of the stories that I heard regarding R. Kelly and these young girls, this dude will pull up to the high school and these girls would hop in it was a Jeep or something at the time, I understand, a car, would hop in his car and he would take these girls to the mall, to buy them Jordans and all kind of stuff. And so, I have a daughter. If she didn't bring herself home after school, it was going to be some problems. I do not need you wandering. You ain't going to be wandering yourself in this house at 8 o'clock at night, or I'm not knowing where you are. So my thing is, if your your kids are not coming straight home,
is that the pot calling the kettle black?
Why? I came straight home. Okay.
Got you.
But, I'm just saying, at some point in time, we got, why aren't your kids supervised?
Right.
You guys can drive down the street at any given time, especially after school. Let's out and see kids just wandering. And I always wonder, where are their mom and dad? Don't they got to be home? Mm-hmm. Why? Who lets their kids just roam the streets, But I agree. You don't know what your kids are doing all the time. But I guarantee you, had my girl been messing with a grown ass man, I would have found out eventually.
Yeah. You don't know what your kids are doing all the time, but you have an idea. Your kid ain't just going to walk out the house and you have no idea where they're a good parent.
But they said he was notorious for buying them Jordans. So if I know I didn't buy you no Jordans, and I can't afford to buy you no Jordans, I want to know where you got these Jordans from. You know what I mean?
And what did you do to get it?
And not necessarily what you do to get it. That wouldn't cross my mind at first, but where did you get them from? And it also says on the R. Kelly doc, Chance the Rapper made a song with him and seriously regrets it. Well, of course he did. But you know what, Chance the Rapper, get out of here with that false outrage, because you live in Chicago, and if anybody should know who R. Kelly was, it should be you. So don't act like all of a sudden now that people are on here saying he did these things, you might got regret now because you don't want to be linked to doing a song with R. Kelly even after you knew he was a predator.
I got a scenario for you. Mm-hmm. Remember that album Double Up?
No.
With R. Kelly and Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah, that they canceled.
They had an album and they went up and they finally did Unfinished Business.
Yeah.
But the enigma or the funny thing about it was, remember, Damon Dash was engaged to Aaliyah at the time. Yeah. And there was a big rigmarole during that time.
And Damon Dash actually made a comment saying that Aaliyah wouldn't elaborate the issue with R. Kelly, but she would always tell him that he's a very bad man.
Dude, right? Yeah. Bad dude.
And then Tay says she's replying to Charles. No matter, he met her at 14. She was in Germany until she was 20, and they married when she was 21. So they married when they were legal, but 14. What you got? What common interest do you have with a child of 14?
Parents saw the money. If her parents
she
are
was
military
very beautiful,
parents,
but golly.
Like I said, the military parents. A lot of people have this disclaimer that military people make a lot of money. We don't.
Yeah, but even still, if he's a military and all that, there's still no reason to to want a 14-year-old girl, and R. Kelly, not saying that you're saying that, but R. Kelly is a classic R&B vocalist, and 100 years now, he will be in history like Shakespeare. His library of music is big, and the unfortunate part about that is he don't own none of it. R. Kelly don't own none of his masters and music. He has no rights to any of his stuff. It's sad.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when it comes to the masters and stuff, he's selling whatever he does have. Not the publishing, but whatever the stuff he does have.
He doesn't have anything.
Yeah, but he's starting to sell off a lot because his concerts aren't selling now.
Yeah, because they shut him down.
Yeah, they're shutting him down.
Hey, Reese, you say, but it's strange that it's playing on repeat. I had to turn because it started playing on my emotions. Okay, enough. We get it. What is Lifetime's intentions? Well, you know what? That's a good question. What is there? Because, okay, listen, again, we agree that R. Kelly is a predator, but what really is their underlying motive by making these movies about all these black dudes? I didn't see the documentary about Whitney, but I heard it was mostly about Bobby Brown.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, what's
Whitney's
really going on here?
Right.
Yeah. And then Charles just said, And then Claudette says, what Elvis did wasn't cool, but R. Kelly seems to have a pattern. He did this multiple times. Yeah, I just think maybe with Elvis, because he ended up marrying and staying with Priscilla. But then again, too, we talking about what the 50s were things.
60s.
That wasn't that far. You guys do realize that in the early 1900s, a man could totally marry a child. I think at 12, he could marry a girl of 12 years old. That was legal. So that wasn't that far off from then. So maybe ideas have changed, but nevertheless, to me, it's the same. You had a thing for a young child, so I get it. Why does Elvis get a pass?
So let me ask you this. If your daughter was going to a One Direction concert and they asked her to go, because you know how fanatical she is about One Direction, would you be there to supervise? Or she says, Mom, I just want to go by myself.
Well, I never let my daughter go to anything like that by herself. I took her to a Chris Brown concert when she was in the 7th grade, but there's no way in hell I'm going to let her go by herself.
Okay.
I need to see what's going on here, know. And Dwight says people need to leave history alone, and Elvis was in love. R. Kelly is his own scandal. That's a good point, too. But, who's to say that R. Kelly wasn't in love with Aaliyah?
They say he was.
I would imagine he was. He wrote every damn song about her just about. You Seem Like You're Ready. Her title, her album was AJ Nothing But a Number. So one could also argue, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Dwight, that R. Kelly was also in love. And then Dean says, they'll do the next Bill Cosby special, the Bill Cosby special next. My problem is that not one white man has been outed this hard. Charlie Sheen gave women AIDS on purpose, and his show's still on TV.
Porn stars. He was banging porn stars.
Is the double standard we have. A president that I didn't vote for Trump. Voted for that said on national TV he liked to grab women by the genitals. I put it out there. I don't know if you're saying somebody else, but I didn't vote for Trump. I've never been a Trump fan per se, so I just want to put that out there. I didn't vote for Trump at all. Didn't want to vote for Hillary. I didn't want to, but damn, what was I going to do, you know?
Right.
Al says on Tyler Perry, The House of Pain, had an episode where a predator who lived in the neighborhood and Curtis wanted him to move out. The man said he changed his life. Well, there's the other argument. If a predator or a child molester, whoever, sex person, whatever, has committed a crime and they've served their debt to society, is it up to us to keep chastising them?
Just a disclaimer for those that want to know. There's websites and city websites you can go to, and there's actually apps
But I think those websites are pretty much to keep you aware of who's in your neighborhood.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Jimbo, Chester the child molester just moved in your neighborhood. Yeah. I think that's more to keep an eye on your kids.
Right.
Not to be like, You need to move.
Yeah, no.
And we get neighborhood watch on you. I don't think that's what it's for.
No, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of people aren't even aware that those websites are there if you want to know what's going on.
Watchdog.com, I think, is one of them, because I used to look all the time, and I found a bunch of my neighborhood.
And you'll be surprised. There's a lot.
And I lived in a really nice neighborhood.
You'll be surprised.
And I found a bunch.
Yeah.
And then Dwight says, you're keeping it real. It goes both ways, and sexuality is life. Girls are lovely to older men. And you know what? I think that right there is the issue I think a lot of people won't deal with. Young girls, for whatever, I mean, there's a whole bunch of songs. The Rolling Stones wrote one about some girl being 17.
I can't get, no, joking.
Jimi Hendrix and Sarah, Hall & Oates.
Sarah Smile.
That's about a young girl. Says young girl with a woman's eyes.
Yeah.
So there's this fetishization, I think, with the older men loving young girls.
But isn't that even biblical? They're saying that a man should date a woman 7 years younger than he is.
It's biblical. Some people will argue that how old was Mary when Jesus, or not Jesus, but Joseph got with Mary and all that other stuff. Some people. So I've seen those arguments, but we're dealing with the law, and the law said that a girl or a child has to be of consent, because they just figure in most cases 18 is consent, or the age of maturity, or majority rather. So at that point, she should be able to decide for herself if she wants to be with an older man. Now, I can imagine being 12 and some old dude named Buster talking about, I want to marry you. I'd be like, what's that? And then you want to have sex with me, and I'm 12? God, I ain't even had a chance to go to puberty yet.
How many people remember, if you saw the movie Lady Sings the Blues?
I have seen it.
When Diana Ross, Billie Holiday, was walking home, innocent little girl, and an old drunk guy saw her passing by, followed her home, and assaulted her.
Right, exactly. And so Claudette says, yes, crazy. And Tay says, I don't like comparing white folks to black folks. We need to mow our own lawn before we monitor someone else's yard. No, absolutely. But I think... the only reason why I disagree with that a little bit, Tay, is because it's white entities that are putting forth these stories. And so I think it's more than fair to ask, well, if you guys are going to highlight the ills of black people, you also need to start talking about your Harvey Weinstein, who was like the king of the Me Too movement. I mean, it all kind of really trickled down from him, although that has been going on a long time. But Harvey Weinstein led the pack, and this dude is still walking around.
And notice some of his charges have been dismissed.
A lot of his charges have been dismissed, and we can go on forever of all the cats that are running around, white dudes are running around scot-free, drinking mimosas as we speak. Right. But yet Lifetime and other entities want to keep producing these docudramas about black men. So I think we should have a conversation about why not black men too. And then Claudette says the school staff should have something to say. He says he has no business trolling high school. Well, it's also said too that his music teacher knew what he was doing, because he would sometimes go to the music classes and get these girls. And the teacher was just like, because, you guys have probably seen R. Kelly talk about this music teacher that he loves so much. That lady knew what he was there for. I mean, because most teachers would be like, boy, you've been graduating from school 20 years. Now what you doing up here? But she kind of, I don't know if she turned a blind eye or she was just like, hey,
like I said,
Robert.
This guy can open up a lot of opportunities for a lot of young people. Why,
why sell off the girls to do that? I mean, because I personally know people who said they knew of him rather to go to the high school and pick the girls up.
Well, hindsight's 20/20. If you're my friend and I don't know what's going on behind the scene, I'm just thinking, wow, this is your opportunity.
Okay, but most schools have. Because listen, I've been out of high school 30 years this year, okay? And even when I was in high school, we had the campus monitors. Yeah. Y'all mean to tell me the campus monitors didn't keep seeing Robert Kelly come up to the school?
You're in Chicago. It's right. Oh my gosh.
I mean, but it don't matter. Somebody at that school should have said, a little grown-ass man, KO ass up out of here. You stop messing with these kids before I call the people.
It's R. Kelly. He's from Chicago. Oh my gosh. R&B superstar. He's come to visit. Oh wow.
But you keep seeing these girls jump in the car? And Brandy says, you remind me of a Jeep. He says, you remind me of my Jeep or whatever. Yeah, wow. Which was a song. Like, what's really going on here? And then you say, laugh out loud. And Tyrone says, why do people think it's okay to sleep with underage girls? Just because white men have set the precedent, just because Elvis did it, don't make it cool.
Hello.
Let's see. Don't make it cool. Hell, they ran the slavery game too. Is it okay for black people to do each other because white people did it first? I hate that he is like Hefner or Elvis jive defense too. No, I totally agree with you. It's not right. We shouldn't say, well, because he did it, we should do it too. And I don't want you guys to think I'm saying R. Kelly should have a pass because Whoop-de-Whoop did it. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think nobody should do it. But I think the comparison comes in that, like I said before, Lifetime is making a movie, so I think we should ask them, well, where's these other documentaries? Because, hell, that sounds like some good-ass entertainment if you ask me. You know, and then Claudette says, it's not okay no matter who's doing it. Absolutely. And Tay says, she's replying to Tyrone, thank you. Al says, was LL Cool J the Predator when the song's backseat of the Jeep and horrible pink cookies in a plastic bag?